Welcome to the Nerdatorium with Mr. Idea. So I'm going to be doing some experiments with overclocking. I'm running a AMD FX-8350 on a AMD Sabertooth motherboard. The operating system is Windows 8.1 and everything's fully updated. I have successfully overclocked this processor in the past. I think I got it up to like almost 6 gigahertz. I am water chilled. It's on water, but I actually have a chiller that I built to have an old window air conditioner. And you can actually see my water temperature showing 0 degrees Celsius. It's not actually accurate. For some reason it doesn't like the cold. I'm currently at about 44 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm not exactly sure what that converts to in Celsius, but anyway, so we're gonna we've got 3 different programs we're going to utilize here. CPU ID, because it gives us a lot of good information. CPU Z, because we can actually validate if we get a really good successful overclock, and of course Prime 95 for stress testing. So I'm gonna do a reboot here. Okay, so here we are in the BIOS. I'm using Asus AI tweaker. So everything comes set auto. So we're going to switch over to DOCP. I believe this is what I used last time in order to get my best overclocks. One of the first things we want to set is the power settings under Digi and power control, and we're going to set everything to extreme. I have overclocked the hell out of this thing already, and I'm not too worried about it. And like I said, I am chilled here, so I think I may have used manual adjustment. Let's see. Well, we're going to set it to extreme for now, and we'll go from there. Frequency, voltage frequency. Let's let that at auto. And I think we want to go off a current probe. Yeah, so we want current probe because we're water chilled, so having the current probe, we won't cook the CPU because we know we're already cold. We just don't want to burn everything up. You know, regardless of temperature, stuff still has a current carrying capacity. Ultra fast. Thermal control. Let's leave that at 130. DRAM current capacity, take that up to 110. Optimized and extreme. So there we are. So now all of our power control on the motherboard is set up. So now let's actually set the frequency. There we go. Alright, so let's set the voltage to 1.45, 1.300. We'll start there. We'll start right there. I know those voltages are more than safe for what we're doing here. So let's start bumping this up. So you can either change the CPU ratio or the bus frequency. You know, it's a matter of playing to get what you want. Let's set. Alright, so let's see if we can get 4.9 gigahertz there and see what happens. So let's hit F10, save configuration. Normally you don't want to do what I'm doing here and going to really high settings. I'm only doing this because I know I've done it before on this motherboard and everything, and I know that we can get pretty high clocks out of it. So I mean, if you're doing this for the first time, you want to start low. Don't change your voltages if you don't know what you're doing. Start off with just you know, changing your multiplier. Don't even change your bus frequency. Just change your multiplier. Okay, so here we are at Windows. Hopefully. It's actually funny. So something I've noticed, and I've done some benchmarking on this before, but overclocking doesn't mean better performance. You know, there's a reason the CPUs and everything are designed for where they're at. They work there. You know, it's not, if they were meant to be at, you know, stupid clock speeds, they would set them there from the factory. So here we are. We are in fact in Windows. Now this doesn't mean anything. Just because you're in Windows doesn't mean that your overclock was successful. You can see there we are in fact at 4.9 gigahertz or 4,938 megahertz, and our temperatures, according to the temperature sensors, is still at well, it just bumped up there, but at 0 degrees. But we have no load on this. So let's run Prime 95. So if you guys aren't familiar with Prime 95, is stress testing. It's currently on my other monitor here. I'll move it over in a second. And let's see if we freeze. Okay, so that's running. So you can see the CPU load is at 100%, and you can now see that we actually do have some temperature on our core, and one of our threads is failing. Possible hardware fault, failure. So yeah, you can actually see CPU number 6 or core number, core number 5, which is actually number 6, is downclocking. So this obviously have an issue. So what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna try to bump the voltage up and see if we can get that to not do that anymore. Okay, so we're back here in the BIOS. So if you don't have your direct key button set up, you definitely want to do that. It's awesome. So I have my restart button set to, my reset button set to go directly to BIOS, or direct key, I believe it's called. And that is awesome because you don't have to worry about hitting delete or F8 or F11 or whatever. Yeah, let's not turn that up anymore. So we're going to try to keep everything in the yellow here. So we're going to take it up to 1.5. I'm not going to change any of the other settings here. And see where we go. And you can see that because we do have the PCI frequency set to auto, it did automatically overclock our memory frequency as well, because this is changing the entire bus frequency, which is of course linked to your North Bridge, which is linked to your memory interface. So higher bus frequency equals higher memory speed, and this is why when you're overclocking to begin with, you just want to change your CPU ratio, because that won't change your memory speed. If you see we take this back down to 200, you can see that our memory speed is back to our default of 1600 megahertz. So let's take this back up. Oops. Apparently I did change something, but that's okay. Alright, so we have our voltages. Let's save this and continue back. Okay, we're back at desktop again. So yeah, if you never overclocked before, get used to like restarting your computer all of the time, because that will happen. That's pretty much all you do. You can see we're actually at 5 gigahertz right now. So we're a full gigahertz over factory. Now again, like I said before, it doesn't mean anything. If you can't run Prime 95 overnight, it's not a true successful overclock or a usable overclock. But we're strictly just going for clock speed here. Eventually, once we really start pushing these limits, we're going to we're just going to be targeting high clock speed. So if we can get into Windows, get CPU Z run up and running and validate our report, that's what we're going for. This is actually taking a while to load because it's maxed out. So there we go. So yep, we're validated. Just went in here and just so you can see the top clock speeds, and the 8350 is the world record at 8,794 megahertz. I know for a fact that we're not going to get anywhere near that with this die or this memory. I have I have my own computer business, and I've done these before, and a couple of friends I've messed around with their boards overclocking, and my one friend has exactly the same board, it's exactly the same processor, and he's got higher clock speeds on air on the stock cooler than I did with an aftermarket air cooler. So I just didn't get the CPU lottery, as they say. So anyway, so we're pretty good here. I had the Prime running for a good while, and we're still utilizing the computer at the same time. So we're gonna start taking this up. Okay, so now you guys got the basic idea. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm going to take the CPU ratio up. Let's try to get to 5.7, and we're going to see if we can get it to boot. Yep, we'd call this unsuccessful. Let's see if we can get it to turn back on here. And see, the lights on the computer are still on, which still means it's active, but I believe that just means it's a failed overclock, so it wouldn't even load the BIOS. So when we first come on here, it should come up into a failed overclock setting, and it'll take us right into the BIOS. Then we'll see what happens. Yep, see, there it is, overclocking failed. Okay. So let's not get too ridiculous here. Let's take it up to 5.5. Okay, so look, we turned that clock speed down, and we are getting into Windows here. Still no promises. You know, once apps start loading, you know, there's a good chance of a crash. Like now. Look, like right here, you know, you can see our Windows logo stop spinning there, so chances are this is a failure. We'll give it a little bit to see if it can recover. Nope, there you go. The blue screen of sadness. It's not the blue screen of death anymore. Okay, so here we are back again. So it's actually been an hour since last time I talked to you. And we had some issues. I did have some successful overclocks, but the problem is after a couple of blue screens, and you wanted to do the automatic disk repair or whatever, so I had the down clock, but you can see we're at 5,472 megahertz currently, which is pretty good. We're actually froze up right now. It was working okay. So let me do a reboot and see if we can validate this score. Okay, so here we are in the BIOS. You can see our target CPU speed of 5,454 megahertz. The CPU ratio is 27, CPU bus 202. When we get down into our voltages, these are the voltages that I ended up having to set to get things stable. I think I can go a little bit higher on them. Or I have these, the CPU and the CPU Northbridge manual voltage a little bit high right now, but that was because I did have a higher clock speed. But like I said, I turned it down when I was trying to get into Windows. So let's see if we can get a successful boot out of this. And yep, okay, cool. So I'm going to try to be relatively quick about it, so bear with me if you don't see everything, because all I want to do is get this validated at the frequency that it's at. So as soon as this launches, I'm going to set the validation right away. So here, bring it over to you, validate. Boom, validated. There you go. 5,471 megahertz. That's pretty sweet. Alright, cool. Let's actually see if we can get Prime to run. If it hasn't froze at this point, that's kind of pretty good. There we go. I don't know if you can see that better or not. I definitely like the layout of it. Yeah, 4,700. No load on any of the CPU. Hey, you see it's still showing the CPU really low. It's not actually that low. And errors, and we're frozen. Okay, back in the BIOS here. So, what we're going to do, we're actually going to take the voltage up one tick. We'll see what happens. We might actually get, oh, crud. Yeah, let's leave it there. I don't think I needed to take the CPU. I think I just needed to take the DRAM up. But we'll see what happens when we get a reboot. See if we can get a CPU over voltage error or not. Yes, CPU over voltage. Kind of figured that one. So what we'll do is we will turn these both down a tick. And we're actually gonna, let's bump this up. Well, let's bump that down. Let's see if we can get 5. Oh, look at that, 5's out of the deal. So, loading Windows again. We're gonna be successful this time, maybe. Yes, I know. Come on, you can do it. She's a loading. Ah, no, it's freezing. You can see it at 5573. Let's see if it'll recover. No. So let's try to be quick. No, we're frozen already. Yeah, it's just not going to be successful here. You know, we're getting into Windows, so you know, mess around with some settings a little bit more, and we might actually get anywhere. So anyway, it's getting pretty late. It's just like 3 in the morning now. But we'll try this another time, another day. I don't know if we'll make just a round 2 video. I know I have had much more successful overclocking in the past on this thing, but